Hey, this is Mike at WyoFile. I lived in Jackson Hole for my first decade or so in Wyoming. One really fascinating part of living there was every fall, like 6, 8, 10,000 elk would pour onto the National Elk Refuge. Once they got there, there'd be hunting seasons going on. Often they get bounced up onto national forest. Quite the spectacle. I always assumed that the elk that showed up on the refuge were kind of a mixing pot of elk that come from the different summer ranges, whether that's the Grovant Range, Yellowstone National Park, or the east slope of the Tetons. I was mistaken in thinking that. I came across a study a couple weeks ago that came out of the U.S. Geological Survey that found the different cohorts of elk tend to go to specific parts of the National Elk Refuge. One really interesting finding that they made is that elk that have really thrived for the last 40 years that live south of Grand Teton National Park among the subdivisions of very nice homes in that country and live in ranchland along the Snake River. Those elk all tend to go toward the very south end of the National Elk Refuge. And so that's actually information that the Wyoming Game and Fish Department is now going to use to their advantage to really try to focus hunting pressure on those elk. That the study called them suburban elk. I've heard them also referred to as short distance migrants, but as they've become a larger and larger portion of the Jackson elk herd, there's been just immense effort to kind of reverse that and preserve the long distance migrations that have been there for a really long time. So I compiled all that into a story about some pretty fascinating research. I hope you give it a read, and thank you for listening.